The wreck of a World War I German submarine is gradually resurfacing on a beach in northern France after decades of being buried in the sand. Shifting sand of Vicent, near Calais, is exposing the remains of the WW1, which was stranded there in July 1917. The crew fled the vessel and abandoned it, and by the 1930s the submarine had largely been buried. It is now becoming a tourist attraction again, although the local mayor warns it may only be a fleeting visit. Since December, two sections of the submarine have been visible at low tide, about 330 foot, 100 meter, from the dunes. The wreck is visible briefly every 2 to 3 years, depending on the tides and the wind that leads to sand movements. But a good gust of wind on the wreck will disappear again, said Mayor of Vicent Bernard Brack. However, local tour guide Vincent Schmidt believes the winds and the tides could lead to even more of the WW1 being exposed. All the residents of Vicent knew there was a submarine here, but the wreck is mostly silted and therefore invisible, he said. Pieces reappear from time to time, but this is the first time we discover so much. German submarines, known as U-boats, targeted light shipping during World War I, sinking hundreds of vessels. Historians say the WW1 was credited with sinking at least 11 ships, either by laying mines or by firing torpedoes. On its last journey, the submarine had left the Brugge in Belgium and was heading to Belgium Sommer and Le Havre to lay mines. When it ran aground, the 26 crewmen surrendered to French authorities. A popular tourist attraction, has become the latest Chinese company to show solidarity with Huawei's chief finance officer, Meng Wanzhou, who was arrested in Canada on 1 December. Shannon Mountain Scenic Park in eastern Henan province said it would waive the $9.40, 65 yuan, ticket fee for anyone carrying a Huawei phone. Ms. Meng, who was given bail in Canada, faces extradition to the United States on charges of breaking Iran sanctions. Her case has upped tensions with China. Your Huawei phones shoot grand photos on the mountain, a notice on the Shannon Park's social media account said. We wish friends around the world who support Huawei's success in bliss. The offer would last until 29 December, the South China Morning Post reported, but it was met with some criticism among China's social media users, who claimed it was discriminatory. Huawei phone owners are being offered other enticements too. They can get a 20% discount at a bar in Beijing. Seen in Beijing, bring a Huawei phone and get 20% off. Similar to this story, we covered yesterday https://COQXL1IYPQL Twitter.com Sokolov. End of Twitter post by @LuoShunji. At least one firm has threatened to penalize anyone buying Apple products. A few days ago, Manpada Shenzhen based Legend display manufacturer offered subsidies to any employees buying Huawei phones. It also pledged to fine anyone who bought an Apple iPhone. United States prosecutors alleged Ms. May 46 used a Huawei subsidiary called Skycom to evade sanctions on Iran between 2009 and 2014. They also allege she publicly misrepresented Skycom as being a separate company from Huawei, and that she deceived banks about the true relationship between the two companies. Ms. Meng, who is the daughter of Huawei's founder, has denied any wrongdoing and said she will contest the allegations. Life of Huawei's high-flying heiress. The United States has been investigating the Chinese telecoms giant, the world's second-largest smartphone maker, since 2016, believing that it used Skycom to bring the United States manufacturing equipment and millions of dollars in transactions to Iran in violation of sanctions. Ms. Man's detention comes amid an increasingly acrimonious trade dispute between Washington and Beijing. China is angry at her detention, saying she has not violated any laws. Beijing has threatened severe consequences unless Canada releases the executive. Since her arrest, 2 Canadians, a former diplomat, and a businessman have been detained in China on suspicion of harming national security. United States President Donald Trump said last week that he might intervene in the United States Justice Department's case against Ms. Man if it would serve national security interests or help achieve a trade deal with China. If I think it's good for what will be certainly the largest trade deal ever made, which is a very important thing. What's good for national security? I would certainly intervene if I thought it was necessary, he told Reuters news agency. Canada reacted by urging Mr. Trump not to politicize the situation. Our extradition partners should not seek to politicize the extradition process or use it for ends other than the pursuit of justice, Foreign Minister Chrystia Freeland said. The United States military says it has killed 62 fighters from the Islamist group Al-Shabaab in 6 airstrikes in Somalia. 4 airstrikes on Saturday killed 32 militants, and a further 2 on Sunday killed 28, it said in a statement. These were the deadliest air attacks in Somalia since November 2017, when the United States said it had killed 100 militants. Somalia has seen a sharp increase in the number of airstrikes and casualties since President Donald Trump took office in the United States in January 2017. A tally by the Bureau of Investigative Journalism reveals that at least 400 people have been killed in airstrikes since the beginning of 2017, far more than the previous 10 years combined. The latest strikes bring to at least 30 the number carried out in Somalia so far this year, compared with 35 recorded in 2017. The United States has a huge military base in neighboring Djibouti, from where it launches attacks on the militants. Mr. Trump gave the United States military greater authority in March 2017 to attack militants in Somalia. Traditionally, United States presidents have been wary of intervening in Somalia since 80 Special Forces soldiers died fighting militias in the capital Mogadishu in 1993, a battle dramatized in the film Black Hawk Down. No civilians were killed in the latest airstrikes, which were carried out in coordination with the Somali government, the United States military said. Alongside our Somali and international partners, we are committed to preventing Al-Shabaab from taking advantage of safe havens from which they can build capacity and attack the people of Somalia, the United States Africa Command said. Al-Shabaab, which is linked to Al-Qaeda, has not yet commented on the latest strikes. Somalia-based security think tank the High Royal Institute said in a report published in November that Al-Shabaab had been forced to change tactics following the upsurge in airstrikes. The institute said the group was now conducting fewer mass attacks on military bases, but attacks on government offices and businesses which refused to pay its taxes had increased markedly. The United States State Department, in its most recent report on terrorism, described Somalia as a terrorist safe haven, and said Al-Shabaab remained a threat. Despite suffering setbacks, the group retained control over large parts of the country, and the ability to carry out high-profile attacks using suicide bombers.